Hey guys, welcome back to another Batwoman review, which is, if you're wondering why I do so many Batwoman reviews, it's because it's currently my favorite Arrowverse CW show at the moment. I love all the other ones too, but like at the moment, I think that it's like one of the like strongest and just one of my personal favorites. Period. The last episode that just aired was, I believe it was called Poison something. It's something to do with Poison Ivy, of course, because this episode was all about the villains of the show and essentially them like becoming the villains. So right off the bat in the episode, we get a not really a twist, but we get like a bit of a surprise where Ryan and her brother are there making plans to, overthrow their mother and take over the company. Anyway, going off the last episode, we learned that Marcus was, of course, affected by the Joker, and that was his whole like origin thing. Is that he took a joy buzzer to the head, and apparently it must have like different levels of things because this one just turned him into a sociopath that his mother is trying to, find a cure for him and trying to help him out, which is like kind of heartbreaking. This episode really is like was like extremely well acted and had like a lot of like heartbreaking scenes. And anyway, back on track. You had the two of them plotting to overthrow the mother before she comes in, and I thought it was interesting to see Marcus kind of attempt to protect Ryan, given that he is, again, a sociopath. This is just not something you'd expect. Maybe he was just playing along, but I just thought it was like an interesting thing that he still like kind of stepped in to protect her when he didn't know what was going on. And that's when we find out, of course, that Ryan is working with her mother to put Marquis under while they find a cure. Which I thought it was interesting that her option was to freeze him until she found a cure instead of just imprisoning him somewhere, or maybe he's like too good for that. Maybe she acknowledges that as his mother and she knows that like he can either buy his way out or some other weird bullshit. So yeah, the first opening scene was just that. And something else that I want to point out is that the music this episode was awesome. I'm a very big like music person. So when a show does like music and does it really well, I will always want to like point that out. So this episode was like full of like really good music to go along with the different scenes they had. So anyway, of course the mother kidnaps Marcus and puts him under along with the help of Ryan. And that was like one of the first things that we get is that the mom is putting him under, and we get like some like little Easter eggs and stuff like that of them trying to figure out like how to fix him and stuff, and they just randomly name drop the Swamp Thing because that's what, of course, Ryan asks for helping her. Of course, she would have done it, but in this instance, she needed help curing Mary. But so while they're currently working on a cure for Mary, they get a name drop of Swamp Thing, who's one of the doctors that's working with Jada is the mother's name, to put Marcus under. Just says that she's never seen a virus like that since Swamp Thing. So in this universe, Swamp Thing just exists, I guess, and has been worked on or at least cataloged or something of that nature. So I just thought that was like a little interesting little Easter egg that they just randomly dropped. And of course, we go back to Sophie, Ryan, and Luke trying to track down Mary, who has at this point escaped with Alice. And they have a weird, like, Jekyll Hyde thing going on where Mary only has her, like, it's like a different persona comes out during the sunlight. So their whole mission is, like, very time sensitive as to them trying to get this antidote for Mary and, like, trying to catch them. We got some interesting stuff. That's, of course, when we get some interesting stuff with Mary and Alice on the run. Mary is very confused about what's going on, and I really like the sisterly bonding that they have going on. It's really weird considering that Alice was essentially responsible for killing Mary's mother. But putting that aside, I really do enjoy like the sisterly aspect, and they talk about it later on, but I'm just going to touch on it here about how that like Mary's kind of been pushed aside like a lot, how Kate didn't really consider her sister, wouldn't really do things for her, so I like that they're touching on all of these points. So of course we get the two of them, on the run, and Luke brings that up too, because they have nanobots in her system, and people may think that Mary's flip was very sudden, but again, the fact that they've been like kind of pushing her to the side this season and not really considering her, so I kind of get it. I get why she would be like so like wanting to choose like her Alice's side. It doesn't really take too much coercion in that on Alice's part for her to like kind of convince her to go to the dark side. And that's when they come to the conclusion that they need to get the nanobots out of Alice's blood. And of course, Mary is a doctor, so she's able to do that. And that is when we get one of my probably favorite scenes. So a lot of my favorite scenes in this episode include Marcus. So while the whole Mary and Alice thing is going on, we flash over to Marcus, who is currently being frozen. Doing the whole Mr. Freeze process that they showed in a previous episode. Some of the best acting I've seen, like, in the whole show. It kind of, like, made me feel really emotional before you, like, get the realization that he's a sociopath and he's just, playing them. But we get Marcus literally crying out to his mom, while he's being frozen, saying that it's not his fault, how he's sorry, how he'll change, how he just, it like, really hits you. Like, the acting was just beyond amazing. His mom, of course, trying to, like, comfort him, was terrible, just sad, like, seeing her cry, seeing him with, like, what we know now is fake tears, but, like, still, like, you couldn't tell, like, at all. And so, like, it's just really heartbreaking seeing these two, like, act, and his mom just being so just wanting to help him, and again, him, like, saying, like, oh, mama, but it's not my fault, you know, it wasn't, it was him, he did this to me. And that is, of course, when she leans in to try to give him a hug, and he breaks out, kills almost her entire staff, I believe, and, of course, knocks her out. And again, great acting by Marquis, Nick Kravis, I believe his name is. It's just some of the best acting. Seeing him, like, flip over from, like, emotional and, like, crying tears, like, tears that made me feeling like emotional shit, to, like, supervillain. I thought that was awesome. Anyway, so he goes from this to, of course, he lets his mom live, and he goes to Wayne Tower, where we see a little interaction with him and Luke, trying to, Luke is currently there, just, I guess, hanging out in the office, waiting for Ryan and Sophie to locate Mary. And, of course, Marcus's interaction with Luke was great. Seeing him, like, just go full-blown psychopath, I loved it. Seeing him just take out the security guard, that was a very Joker move with the pen, just, like, jabbing him in the throat. Luke needs way more training. I feel like this is gonna, like, kind of put him on the path to kind of train harder and more, because even though he only had one arm, he was incapacitated a little bit. I was actually surprised. He was holding his own for a minute before Marcus kicked his ass and just, like, decimated him easily. And Marcus even, like, made a dig at him, saying, even if you had two good hands, you still wouldn't be able to beat me. So I found that just kind of like a cool little fight scene they did there. So while this is still happening, we have the Mary and Alice stuff of them looking for someone with O-negative blood, because that is, of course, Alice's blood type that she needs in order to do the blood transfusion to get the nanobots out, essentially the tracking devices. And that's where we see Mary using her powers, her poison ivy powers. We saw them use it when she was, like, her other persona, but seeing just, like, Mary use it and, like, having fun with it, getting free drinks at the bar with using the what are we calling, the poison ivy pheromones. That was actually pretty interesting. I like seeing her with the glowing eyes when she uses her powers. That was cool. And again, just her and Mary, like, her and Alice just, like, bonding. I really liked it. I like seeing these two who have no one at this point. Mary has, like, the Bat family and stuff like that, but Kate was never really her sister, never really, took much interest in her, but Alice is, of course, like, paying attention to her, giving her that sisterly, thing that she's always wanted. So that was like a great scene. I like the camaraderie between those two. And again, we go back to Marcus, who is just kind of in Wayne Tower, kind of like lording over Luke. And then him and Ryan have, again, I feel like I keep saying like every scene is my favorite scene, but I can definitively say that every scene with him is my favorite scene. Because he was just like such a well acted thing. We get the conversation between Ryan and Marquis, where he actually delivers one of the best lines, and I think the whole show so far. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So they talk about how Ryan was like, you're my brother, all this stuff, we can still save you, we still want to save you. And we get Marcus doing the Joker laugh, which I freaking loved him with the laugh. It just like started off so somber and then just like breaking into full-blown Joker laughter, and it was great. I loved it. Yeah, they have like a whole conversation about, because Marcus has stolen the antidote that they need to cure Mary, and she's just like, okay, what do you want? And of course it's all about, power, so he wants her to sign over the Wayne Enterprises and all of her stocks and just everything. He wants control of everything. So with that is when he delivers one of the best lines ever. And I'm gonna try to remember it, but I'm pretty sure it's something like if Joker was so damn horrible, why did he seem like the only one in this town having any fun? Just the way he delivered it was awesome. It's like a reverence. God, I'm trying to think of the words for it. It was just like such an awesome line. Kind of like he like admires him, but also like, what else? It's like he's like admiring the Joker at that point. And so I love that line. I love the delivery of it. I love his scenes. He's the Joker, like reincarnated. I loved it. So of course that is when we go back and we see more of Mary and Alice doing some heart-to-heart bonding. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm leaving out like some of the Luke and other scenes, but this episode belonged to the villains, so that's why I'm like harping so much on them, because they were like the most prominent part of the episode. So we get some more sisterly bonding between Mary and Alice, and Mary actually reveals that she's actually afraid to be alone, and that once the transfusion's over, she's afraid that Alice is going to leave her, and of course Alice promises that she won't do that. Again, I keep saying that, but I really enjoyed the sisterly bonding that they're doing, and since they were both very alone characters, they've both been through trauma, both, just been through shit, and Mary just kind of like having fun with her sister, something that she would never have been able to do with Kate, just like ever. Fast forwarding a little bit, we get them trying to make a getaway. They've done the blood transfusion, and they are set to go. And that is, of course, when Ryan locates her, because Mary just had to use her points at Jitters, rewards club. I just think it was funny that she remembered not to use a credit card and not to use her real name, but she used her points to get a free coffee. That was just something that I find is hilarious. So Batwoman now has Alice and Mary cornered. She's like ready. She has the antidote. Marcus has given her the antidote that is going to cure Mary before she turns full-blown poison ivy. And that is when Mary has a choice. She, of course, asks Batwoman, asks Ryan honestly, like, what would you do if I chose not to take the antidote? And as this is going on, you have Alice whispering into her ear a little bit, and being like, they never respected you, they never really cared for you, they weren't really paying attention to her, which all makes sense, because they didn't even notice that she was essentially turning into poison ivy, but Alice is the one who noticed. And so we get Mary asking, Ryan, while using her new powers, like, honestly, what would you do if I didn't take the antidote? And of course, Ryan answers honestly and says that they would have to lock her up somewhere until they figured out what to do. And that just pisses Mary right off. and causes Mary to use even more of her abilities, like new abilities, and of course capture her, breaking the antidote that she just signed over Wayne Enterprises for, and like causing her to just like stay, did the whole poison ivy thing with the roots coming out of the earth, and that whole cool thing. And so Alice and Mary take off, and they just take off. And back to Luke, Sophie, and Ryan. They're currently discussing. Oh, sorry, I also forgot. Marcus calls his mother and tells him. At first, tells her, like, plays the joke on her, is like, I'm standing right behind you, which, for a second, fooled even me, because I could have sworn he was just going to be there and do some more tormenting. And tells her to make sure to be watching the news. Yeah, I just wanted to point out that little scene in between. And so now back to Ryan, Sophie, and Luke, who are on the news with watching the news, and they of course say that before Marcus's big takeover, they were able to lock down the Batcave and all that stuff, and the only thing that they currently have is one Batsuit and the Batmobile. So at least they were able to lock down the Batcave, to grab the the Batsuit, grab the car, and all that crap. And this, of course, when they're watching the news, and Marcus reveals himself to be the new CEO of Wayne Enterprises in the best way ever. He calls a press conference. He's in a amazing orange suit with purple dyed hair. He's looking like the baddest ass Joker ever. I love it. I love his look. I hope he just builds on that look, because it's freaking awesome. I love it so much. Just side note, the actor actually did a picture of himself as the character, and it's just one of the best pictures ever that I've seen. So yeah, he makes a big announcement how he's going to bring a smile to everyone's face, how he's taking company in a new direction. This is officially the Joker taking over Wayne Enterprises, and it's amazing. And while that's going on, we get Mary and Alice in their hotel, chilling out, while Mary is, of course, doing something in the background, and she comes out and reveals a poison ivy suit. So when I said this episode is all about the villains, it was just the villain episode. She looks awesome in the poison ivy suit. We're still getting a poison ivy period later on, I think. Because we don't really know what's happened to Poison Ivy yet. But Mary as Poison Ivy looks awesome. I think her suit is great. I think it looks cool. I love that they gave her... Well, they started her off with the Uma Thurman hair from, the Batman and Robin movie. I kind of wish they would have kept that hair with the outfit. But I like Mary's new red hair and her new outfit, her new costume. Looks really cool. And that's, of course, when she sees Marcus on television... in his whole Joker outfit and Joker everything. And it ends on the conclusion of these two are going to meet up and cause some trouble. And I love it. I loved this episode. I thought it was awesome. The villains are one of my favorite part. Marcus is one of the best characters. I love him. I love him as the Joker. I hope to see him to get some, hopefully, Joker-esque items. I hope that we see maybe through the funding and stuff he'll add on to it. It would be some kind of ironic if he made the Joy Buzzer his signature weapon. I think that would be just awesome. Seeing him and Mary interact is gonna be really cool, because I know that's where this is heading. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what they do next. Between the Mary becoming Poison Ivy, the dynamic of one of the sister being Batwoman and brother being Joker is an extra added thing that is just awesome. I hope to see from the promo of next week, it looks like he has his own little club thing, so that could be a whole Joker-ish club. I think it's gonna be awesome. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what they do with him further down the line. So if you like that video, please subscribe, I'll be doing more Batwoman and probably other shows at some point later on, so you can check that out, and I'll talk to you guys later.